Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the live game review to Everton's fantastic 3-0 victory in the FA Cup 4th round last night against Sheffield Wednesday. What a brilliant performance it was by Carlo Ancelotti's Everton. Exactly what we wanted in the FA Cup tie. Go out there, completely control the game, go and get the win and cruise into the next round. None of this stress, none of this, going into extra time or worrying about what's going to happen throughout the game. Just going out there, putting in a top, professional, comfortable, dominant performance, showing Sheffield Wednesday respect, but also going out there and understanding that we are the team with the better players and the more quality, and just going out there and winning the game. And that's exactly what Everton did yesterday. I thought Carlo Ancelotti got his game plan absolutely spot on. Start with a strong side, the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin coming back into the squad, Richarlison, James Rodriguez in there as well. Big strong defence, of course, as we know, and then get the game won, and then you can slowly start to bring off, your key players, your likes of Dom, your likes of Richarlison, your likes of James Rodriguez, these players that will be featured in, of course, on Wednesday against Leicester City in a big Premier League game. Absolutely no negatives to say about yesterday, not one negative whatsoever, and that's not only just because we won the game, but, these fixtures notoriously in the past for Everton Football Club tend to be games that, we may trip up in, or, we may lose and get knocked out the cup. I think there was a stat yesterday that said, we've been knocked out in the third round of the FA Cup in the last 3 out of 4 years, and the only time we got through to the 4th round was a couple of seasons ago when we played Millwall and we ended up getting knocked out in the 4th round. So it's actually been quite some time since we've reached the 5th round of the FA Cup, and again, usually we have come up across these sides, lower league sides, championship sides, and we've struggled to get past them. So it was just really refreshing to see, a top Everton performance yesterday, and we don't even have to go back that long to look at Everton coming up against the lower league side and struggling 2 weeks ago in the third round of the FA Cup against Rotherham. We won that game, and obviously we ended up being quite comfortable in extra time, but we allowed Rotherham back in the game after 10 minutes, and all of a sudden the game went from being comfortable to, we just struggled. We didn't look like we wanted to be out there. We didn't look interested whatsoever. That wasn't the case yesterday. It wasn't the case whatsoever. We were brilliant. The creativity by James Rodriguez was just a level above anything you'll ever see. He was absolutely fantastic, spraying balls left, right and centre, creating opportunities left, right and centre. 2 assists, of course, which came from corners. If you look at James' stats and you didn't watch the game, you probably think, we got 2 assists from corners. It's not that great, but if you watch the game, you'll realise how important and how good of a player James Rodriguez actually is. He could have had 4, 5, 6 assists yesterday. We played the through ball to Richarlison, who put it in the back of the net, but he was just offside. Richarlison had another couple of opportunities that James played them in. On another day he might have scored. Dom had a couple, one cleared off the line. Andre Gomez had a couple as well. So James was just absolutely everywhere, creating for everybody yesterday. And like I said, it was a real top professional dominant performance, and one that you should expect from Everton in these type of games, but we all know to not expect, because it doesn't usually work like that. Like I said, you only have to go back to the Rotherham game to see Everton sort of, I don't know whether I want to say down tools, but almost look like we drop our level to that of the opponent, and that's no disrespect to Rotherham, but we had a good 10 minutes and then we just dropped our level to almost allow them to come into the game and compete with us. And then again we played Wolves a couple of days later and we upped our level again and went out and beat them. So it was just really refreshing to see us turn up and just continue at that high level and go out and beat a side, fairly comfortably. And fair play to Sheffield Wednesday, they didn't, just turn around and sort of curl over for us. They come at us, they attacked us. Certainly when it was 0-0 in that first half, they had the first chance of the game from the left-hand side where they fired a shot and forced Robin Olsen into a save. They got the first corner of the game, and they did have a couple of half opportunities here and there, but overall I thought defensively, for what we had to do, we were very, very solid. Robin Olsen put in a very solid performance. Granted, he didn't have to make any world-class saves, but he had to do the simple bits, and we know as Evertonians in the last couple of years or so, it's been those simple saves that we've struggled to keep out, but Robin Olsen dealt with them absolutely fine as expected. Like like I said, the defence were really, really solid throughout the game. The midfield worked well, and the forwards were clinical, and that's all you can ask for in an FA Cup fourth round fixture, 8 o'clock on a Sunday night. We just wanted to end our weekend in fashion, and that's exactly what we did. A massive thank you to everybody for joining us live. Don't forget to get your comments in the comment section down below. We'll be getting involved with as many of them as possible. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. If you could share the live stream on social media, Twitter, Instagram, all of those good platforms, then it would mean an absolute massive amount to me. And if you could leave it a like, that would mean a great deal to me as well. Everton Blues 1878 says, hey Cam, love the vids. James Rodriguez is absolutely world class. He bossed that game yesterday, and people who write him off are jealous they don't have a player like that in their team. Exactly, mate. He was absolutely exceptional, and we're going to go on to talk about James in just a moment because he was absolutely exceptional. Near Death Experience says, we are through to the 5th round. Get in there. Yes, we will see who will play tonight when Wycombe Wanderers face Tottenham Hotspur. That game, I think, is a little bit later on tonight, so that'll determine who we play in the 5th round. Phil says, hi, what's happening, Phil? Huden says, I think Everton needs to play Andre Gomes for the game at home against Leicester, and he thinks we'll win 4-0. Phil also says, anyone noticed online newspaper comments are disabled for yesterday's game? The reason is yet more sick file threats from Copites. I didn't notice, mate, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know why they're incested, probably because they got their arse handed to them again, but I don't know, I didn't notice, mate. Anyway, yeah, listen, let's get straight into the game. Like I said, Everton started, well. We were controlling the ball. Sheffield Wednesday were getting forward, and they were giving it a go, to be fair to them. They didn't come with fear. Like I said, they've had an extended break as well. It was interesting, this game, because it was always going to be interesting to see how Everton performed, given the fact that we haven't played in over a week. Obviously, we know the last time we had an extended break, which wasn't expected, the Manchester City game was postponed, and we had a couple of more days rest to, sort of prepare for the West Ham game, and West Ham had played a couple of days before, and we were going into that game thinking, right, boss, we've had more rest than them, we've had time to recuperate, players' fitness will be back up. This should be a comfortable win here, and they turned up, and because they were in the flow of playing football, because they, had played every 2 days and hadn't lost that momentum, we just looked really flat. We looked really poor, and they took advantage of that. So it was always going to be really interesting from an Everton point of view to see how we sort of came into this game, and if we could take that momentum and we could continue from that really good win against Wolves last time out, because it had been over a week, and obviously we had the fixture postponed, which again was slightly more expected than the Manchester City one, but still, couple of days before it, the players were expecting to play, certainly after that Wolves game, and we looked really sharp. Like I said, it wasn't like the game against West Ham where we looked lethargic and we looked down and we looked low and we looked sort of, I don't know, as if the break had been a hindrance on us, as if we'd become a little bit complacent. There was none of that yesterday. We were on the ball. We looked like we'd just come off the back of playing, midweek in the Premier League. We were straight to it. And, granted, Sheffield Wednesday have also had an extended break, a little bit longer than Everton. Don't think they'd played the game since the first week in January because of COVID issues and a couple of their championship fixtures being postponed. So both sides were coming into it sort of fresh with a couple of weeks off, and again, it was going to be really interesting to see how Everton dealt with that. And I think this was a really good game for Everton to come back into ahead of this Leicester game on Wednesday, because again, like I said, it's going to be really tough on Wednesday. They had a really good side, and again, Everton are only within touching distance of those top 2 places if we do manage to win. So I think the Sheffield Wednesday game was at a really good time for us to go out, get that momentum, play the lads that maybe coming back from injury, your likes of your Dominic Calvert-Lewin, give those like Alex Iwobi and Luca Dean a rest, continue to play your top players, your Jameses, your Richarlisons and stuff, and go out there and just get a confident win. And I want to talk about confidence in a little bit when I talk about Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, because I think their goals will have given them an awful lot of confidence yesterday, which I think is really important going into the next couple of fixtures, because we've got a couple of big games. But like I said, it was always going to be interesting to see how Everton dealt with that that break, that little extended break that we'd had, because we were complacent against West Ham. We did look lethargic. We looked like we'd just maybe spent a couple of extra days resting rather than getting back into the swing of things, and we were made to pay for that by a side that were in the swing of things and we're keeping the momentum up. And it was good to see that we've gone out there and got a big win to carry on that momentum. But like I said, Carlo Ancelotti started with a very strong Everton side. James Rodriguez, Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin as the front three. The front three, of course, that we've known so well and grown to love so well this season. We know how creative that front three can be. We know where our goals come from when that front three plays. And it's not a coincidence that, over the last few weeks or so, Everton have struggled to score goals. Haven't struggled to win games, but we've struggled to score goals. It's no coincidence that in those games, those three players haven't played up top. And that's nothing against Alex Iwobi or saying Alex Iwobi isn't good enough whatsoever. It's not like that, at all, because again, Richarlison and James and Dom have played with Alex Iwobi and it's been successful. But again, like I said, we saw the quality of those three players, certainly James Rodriguez, who was absolutely everywhere. But Carlo started with a really strong team. Robin Olsen in goal, again, no issues with that whatsoever. He's become our cup keeper, if you like, but he's also played on a couple of occasions in the Premier League and he's done well. Again, very solid option, big, tall international keeper, no worries about him whatsoever. Big, strong back four. Ben Godfrey starting at left back, which was expected after the news that Niels Nkunku and Luca Dean would be ruled out of this game. Mason Holgate and Yerry Mina starting at centre half. Michael Keane being given a bit of a rest, and Seamus Coleman at right back. And I want to talk about the defence because, again, I said it in the instant match reaction. Obviously, Ben Godfrey and Yerry Mina have been performing at a really good level over the last couple of weeks in the Premier League, so there wasn't really many worries about them. And Mason Holgate's performed at a really good level recently in the Premier League as well, but he's performed at right back, and there's been a lot of questions, certainly for me, as to whether Mason is going to be able to sort of slot back into that centre-back position and perform as well as we know he can do, because when he's at right back, he's been really, really solid, really, really good. But like I said, we haven't seen him an awful lot at centre-back so far this season, and I actually think Mason deserves a lot of credit for yesterday, because he didn't have to do an awful lot of defending. Granted, he wasn't put under an awful lot of pressure, but when he had to defend and when he had to fall back into that centre-back position, he looked really, really comfortable. And you might be sitting there saying, well, Cam, obviously, he looked comfortable, he's a centre-half, that's what he practices, on the training pitch day in, day out, but it's easy to say that, and when you've got a lad who's been playing out of position for the last 4, 5, 6 weeks, and then he slots back into his natural position, sometimes he can fall into the habits of being a right back and having a little bit more space and being able to look behind you and have two big centre halves covering your back. Sometimes you can fall into those habits, but Mason didn't yesterday. He was very strong, he was very solid, and he looked very comfortable, and I think that was a big positive for me, is to look at Mason Holgate and think, right, okay, you're still capable of slotting into centre half and doing a job, even though at the moment you're probably more likely to get game time at right back, because let's be honest, as good as Mason Holgate was yesterday and as good as Ben Godfrey's been over the last 5, 6, 7 weeks, basically since he put pen to paper and signed the Everton contract, our centre-back partnership is Yerry Mina and Michael Keane, and neither of those two players have done anything wrong. Is to state that they don't deserve to be our centre-back partnership. Michael Keane will play on Wednesday. The reason he didn't play yesterday is because he's probably the first name on the team sheet for Carlo Ancelotti at the moment. He's been so good, he's been so consistent, and he'll play on Wednesday, and I expect him to play next to Yerry Mina because he's been very good as well. So that leaves the likes of Ben Godfrey, that leaves the likes of Mason Holgate sort of thinking, right, okay, they've got to fit in somewhere else. Now, Mason may well fit in at right back on Wednesday because Seamus obviously played the entire game yesterday and mightn't be fit enough to go again just a couple of days later. Ben mightn't play because obviously you've got Luca Dean coming back into the team, and we know how much, creativeness Luca Dean brings to this side, so Ben might have to sit out in this one. Ben Godfrey might be preferred at right back, but it was just good to see Mason slot back into his natural position and just perform at the level that we know he can perform at, because, again, like I said, there was for me certainly that little worry is, will Mason be able to go and sort of adapt straight back to being a centre half after playing so many games at right back this season, but he done it really, really well. And Seamus Coleman as well, like I said, really good professional performance by Seamus Coleman, didn't put a foot wrong, actually got forward a lot more than he has done recently as well, broke the line a couple of times, had a shot, granted it landed in my back garden, but it doesn't really matter. He got forward, he had an effort, put a couple of crosses in, obviously put a brilliant ball in for Richarlison, who heads it onto the bar in the first half. Would have been a great cross and a great goal. And he just looked a little bit more confident in himself. Now, like I said, I don't know whether Seamus will play on Wednesday because of fitness and stamina and all of that sort of stuff. But he put a really, really, really good performance in. And that's what you'd expected from that back line. It was a solid defensive back line who have all played a lot of Premier League minutes between them this season, including Robin Olsen. Robin Olsen wasn't a goalkeeper coming in for the first time, or, he's only the cup keeper or whatever you want to call it. He's played Premier League games this season. He's had that experience. He played against Leicester a couple of weeks back when we beat them away from home. So again, the expectation yesterday was that we went out and we comfortably won that game, certainly at 7 o'clock when we saw the team news, but the Evertonian in you thinks it's never that easy, but it was that easy yesterday, and I think that has to constantly be brought up and constantly be talked about, is that not often do we go out and we make things easy for ourselves, but we absolutely did that yesterday. It was a really comfortable watch, it was a really easy watch, and it was great, it was absolutely great, and it wasn't like Sheffield Wednesday put in an awful performance. They fought, they come at us, they tried to break us down, they had a couple of shots, we were just much better. And yes, that is the expectation, and yes, that is what we want to see, and I'm not saying, oh my god, we're the best team in the world because we beat a championship side comfortably. What I'm saying is, it shows that we're going out in these games and we're just getting the job done professionally. Like I said, for me, Carlo Ancelotti's game plan was perfect, pitch perfect yesterday. Start with a strong team, get the game won, and then bring your key players off in the 50th, 60th, 70th minute when you know the game's done and dusted. I've never really been a fan in cup competitions of starting with a younger team or inexperienced players or players who haven't really proved their point, and then getting to 60, 70 minutes and thinking, shit, we're not going to win this game, so we now need to bring on a Richarlison to change it, we now need to bring on a Dominic Calvert-Lewin to change it, because all as that does is adds more pressure to the player who you wanted to take the pressure off by, you know, leaving him out for this one or by giving him a little bit of a rest. All that does is says to a Dom or a Richie, right, you've got to go on and change it now. So they're trying even harder, and they're more likely to pick up a knock than they would be if they started the game, you know, comfortably got it done and dusted and then come off at 60 minutes for the rest. And that's what we seen yesterday. We saw a comfortable performance, a comfortable win, and then the likes of James, the likes of Dom, the likes of Richarlison, the likes of Godfrey all coming off. Obviously, we saw 2 debuts as well for Tyler Onyongo and Thierry Small. We will go into talking about those in just a second. But like I said, Everton are creating chances. James and Gylfi Sigurdsson played a nice little passage of play to each other, got it through to Dom. Dom pulls it back. It's a really good effort, saved by the goalkeeper. And you can sort of see, right, okay, this is coming. You know, it's only going to be a matter of time here before Everton go 1-0 up. Like I said, Everton do have the ball in the back of the net. The pass by James is just absolutely exquisite. It's unbelievable. It's literally cutthroat. It just absolutely takes about 4 or 5 Sheffield Wednesday players out the equation. It just so happens that Richarlison is a couple of yards offside. He does come onto it, he slots it, and the flag goes up, and rightly so, and no issues with that. But again, you're sort of thinking, right, okay, this is coming, this is only a matter of time here. Seamus Coleman's threw the ball in, Richarlison's got his head on it again. It's a good save by the goalkeeper to tip it onto the bar. And then, of course, Everton break again. Gylfi Sigurdsson has the ball on the left-hand side. He plays it into Andre Gomez. Andre Gomez takes a touch, turns inside, puts a fantastic ball into the box, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin's on the end of it. A proper striker's finish. A finish that Michael Owen didn't stop talking about for about 10 minutes. I nearly fell off my chair watching it at home because Michael Owen was giving Everton credit. Not only Everton credit, he was talking up Dominic Calvert-Lewin an awful lot. And that's right, because that's the type of finish that we've become used to Dominic Calvert-Lewin putting away this season, and that's the type of finish that Dom wouldn't have put away 18 months ago or 2 seasons ago, and that shows the progress of him. He's not necessarily scoring worldies, he doesn't score a unbelievable header every game where he's hanging in the air for 20 minutes. When he does score those type of goals, it's excellent, but they're just as important as sliding in at the back post and taking a risk when a ball's coming across the box. That's just as important as it hitting Dominic Calvert-Lewin on the line and going in and that counting as a Dom goal. And that again yesterday was a perfect example of that. Ball comes in from Andre Gomez. It's an excellent ball across from Andre Gomez, by the way. I want to talk about him because I think he deserves to be spoken about, to be honest with you. He's come under a lot of stick recently, and rightly so. He hasn't been great in recent times, you know. He's put a lot of average performances in. He's put a lot of performances in that make you think, what do you bring to this Everton team? What are you in this squad for? But honestly, I believe Andre Gomez is a confidence player. I believe Andre Gomez plays well when he's confident and plays atrociously poor when he's not confident. And I don't even think that's 2 words you can put together, but I'm putting them together. Atrociously poor when he's not confident. And one thing that assist yesterday will have done, along with the ball in against Wolves, will have given Andre Gomez an awful lot of confidence. Now, that ball against Wolves might have just been a hit and hope, but it doesn't matter, because that hit and hope has been floated in perfectly, and Michael Keane's got his head on the end of it, and Andre Gomez will have been feeling on top of the world, sitting in his house last weekend thinking, I've just won that game for us there, or I've just contributed massively to winning that game for us. Again yesterday, he brings it inside It's a really, really good piece of play if you actually watch it. It's not just a aimless ball into the box. He hasn't just hit it and hoped. He's turned his man, he's got to the byline, and he's put a cutthroat ball across the goal line. And that's exactly the type of balls you need to be putting into the box, by the way. If Dom wouldn't have been on the end of that, if, you know, let's say that ball was cleared or it just ran straight across, we'd all be sitting here today saying that's a great ball by Andre Gomes and nobody gambled on it. It was an absolutely fantastic cutthroat ball. It was weighted perfectly towards that sort of back post so that, you know, Sheffield Wednesday defenders couldn't get on the end of it or couldn't clear it. And it was fantastically worked by Andre Gomes, and I do think he deserves a lot of credit because, like I said, we've all criticised him very recently, and rightly so. He has not been good enough. I've sat here and I've criticised him, and I'm not going to sit here and say, right, he's had a couple of assists now, that's it, turned around, best player in the world. But we're starting to see I think we're starting to see the confidence of Andre Gomes just increasing a little bit game by game. He just looks a bit more comfortable on the ball. He looks like he wants to take a few more risks. He looks like he wants to be more direct. For example, would Andre Gomes have turned and went down the byline and threw a ball across the goal line 2 weeks ago? Probably not. No, he'd have probably got the ball in the box and tried to look for a pass, or passed it back into central midfield, or passed it to the fullback to put a ball in. He wouldn't have turned his man, gone to the byline himself and threw the ball across. It was like watching a proper number 8 play. And again, like I said, I'm not getting too ahead of myself, and I'm not going to sit here and big him up until the cows come home, because he's still got a lot of improvement to do for me and he's still got to prove himself. But again, it was really, really nice to see Andre Gomes picking that ball up, driving and putting a good ball across the box, because that we know he can do that. We know the quality that Andre Gomes has got. I don't think anybody's ever doubted Andre Gomes' quality on the ball and his ability on the ball. The doubt has always been his work rate and whether he's quick enough and fast enough to keep up with this league and to keep up with you know, playing consistent football. And that question probably is still out in the air and is still up for discussion. But one thing's for certain is he is a confidence player. Like a lot of footballers, he is a confidence player. And those 2 assists in the last couple of games, including that one yesterday, will give him an awful lot of confidence. And it was fantastic. It was a brilliant ball across the box. Like I said, Dominic Calvert-Lewin getting on the end of it. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic finish. And I want to talk about Dom and Richarlison as well. Now, we'll get into Richarlison's goal a little bit later on in the live stream, but I want to talk about him now because it sort of links into the same conversation. I sat here on Friday night and I said I want Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison to play because I think this will be a fantastic opportunity for both of them to get a goal and for both of them to end this sort of mini goal drought that they're on now. I don't want to say goal drought because it's not like Dom's gone 6, 7, 8 weeks without a goal. He's gone a couple of games without a goal, and again, you know, as we sit here and as we have the same discussion about Dominic Calvert-Lewin after every game, even when he doesn't score, he's still absolutely quality. He still puts in a man-of-the-match performance every single week, even when he's not scoring and not assisting. If you're not enjoying, by the way, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you could share the live stream on social media, try and get as many people involved as possible. We will be getting back in the live comments in a moment, so massive thanks to everybody for getting involved as always. But like I said, Dom puts in a 10 out of 10 performance near enough week in, week out, even when he doesn't score or doesn't assist, because his work rate's there. He drags opposition players out and he allows, you know, his teammates to get in behind and to create chances, even when he's not directly involved. But as a striker and as a player who's openly come out recently and said, look, I now, if I leave the pitch and I haven't scored, I'm not very happy. It was always important that he got that goal. It was always important that he got back on track goal scoring wise. He'll always give it 110%. He'll always work his arse off, and he'll always be lauded for that, and rightly so. But in his mind, he's coming off the pitch for me every week when he's not scoring, thinking, all right, I played well and we won, but I really want to be scoring goals. I really want to be getting involved a lot more. That was massively important for him yesterday. Same with Richarlison. Again, fantastic opportunity for Richarlison to go out there. Again, no disrespect to Sheffield Wednesday, but play a team who he's light years ahead of in ability wise, and go out and get a goal or two and bring that confidence back up. Now, Richarlison looked absolutely made up when he scored, and rightly so, and I made a point of tweeting the pictures of Richarlison's celebration because, you know, he didn't look massively happy when he left the pitch, but the reason he didn't look massively happy when he left the pitch is because he wants to play for Everton, because he wants to carry on playing. How can we criticise a player who isn't happy coming off the pitch because he wants to keep playing for Everton. He wants to carry on. We don't want players who, when their number goes up, they go, phew, bloody hell, I'm made up, I'm getting off here, I don't want to be here, I'm made up, I'm going off, is right. We want players who, when their number goes up, they think, oh, I was just starting to get into things there, I want to carry on, I want to keep playing for this club, I want to go and get another opportunity. Said it in the instant match reaction yesterday, for me, Richarlison doesn't look very happy when he goes off, because he'd scored one goal in the first half that was disallowed, and he was offside, and again, if he'd have been a little bit more clued on, he wouldn't have been offside and it'd have been a great goal. He'd scored one in the second half, which is a brilliant header, and was allowed. And he'd had another couple of opportunities. James had played a couple of really good balls into him. One occasion where the Sheffield Wednesday keeper made a brilliant save, and one occasion where he was offside again, and he rushes the shot and it doesn't go in. But I think if he's onside, he doesn't rush it and it goes in. So he's probably coming off thinking, I'm still a little bit frustrated with myself there. I've had one goal disallowed because I was offside. I've had one really good chance sort of ended because I was offside. I've scored one goal and I've had another couple of really close opportunities. I've hit the bar as well from a header. So, yes, he's probably a bit disappointed because he wants to carry on playing, he wants to carry on scoring. But make no mistake, Richarlison needed that goal yesterday. And Richarlison, when the emotion's taken out of it and when he's come off and when we've won the game and when he's spoken to Duncan Ferguson or he's spoken to Carlo Ancelotti, Richarlison will be sitting there. Would have been sitting there last night and will be sitting there today thinking, you know what? That was important, that I needed that goal. I can't wait to go again against Leicester. And he should take that energy of, oh, I don't want to come off. I want to carry on playing here. I've had a couple of opportunities. I want to carry on going here. He should take all of that energy, box it up, and get the lid off the box on Wednesday night just before we go out against Leicester and consume all of that energy and think, right, okay, I want to go again here. That offside goal that I scored in the first half of the game against Sheffield Wednesday, I won't be offside today. I'll score that again, but I'll be onside. That chance that I had where I was offside, I won't be offside this time. I'll make sure that I'm not, that header that hit the bar in the first half, I'll make sure it's a bit more left of the goalkeeper so he doesn't make the save. And he needs to take that energy and that positivity into the game on Wednesday. But again, like I said, this was a fantastic opportunity yesterday for both Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison to get another goal and to sort of kickstart their goal scoring run again. And it was imperative that they did that. That's the reason why they started the game. And again, like I said, that's all I wanted from the game. I think I tweeted it as soon as Richie scored. That's all I wanted. A Dominic Calvert-Lewin goal, a Richarlison goal, game, set and match, take them off, sound. See the game out, no stress, don't concede with 10 minutes to go and allow them to come on to you. That's it. Dom scored, Richarlison scored, James is running rings around everybody like he's playing on the schoolyard. James looked like he turned up and gone, right, okay, let's just get this done and dusted. I've got the coffee machine on at home here. I want to go home and have a nice warm coffee and watch a little bit of Netflix. Let's just get this done and dusted and sorted. He was just absolutely excellent, and ultimately that's all we can ask for. But like I said, that goal for Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin was absolutely massive. It was massive for both players to get back on the score sheet and to sort of build that confidence back up ahead of a couple of really important fixtures. And, they should have scored again, like I said. No disrespect to Sheffield Wednesday, but they were coming up against opposition who they are a lot better than. They've got a lot more quality than, and they showed that. Dom showed that with his finish. It's a brilliant finish. And Richarlison showed that with his header. It's a fantastic header. It's a really, really good guided header off a fantastic ball. So again, really important for Dom and Richarlison to get their goals. But like I said, we go 1-0 up. Brilliant goal by Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Brilliant ball in by Andre Gomez. We go in at half-time, then you're thinking, right, okay, 1-0 up, haven't really been troubled. Okay, they've had the odd opportunity, haven't really been troubled though. Let's go out second half, short it up, kill the game off, get another couple more, and then just take, the key players off and see this one out. And that's exactly what we did, and again, absolutely no complaints about that whatsoever. Let's get into the live comments then, and then I want to talk about James Rodriguez, because I honestly could sit here and talk about James Rodriguez for about 4 hours. Just talk about how absolutely boss he is, and I want to talk about him because I think he deserves a lot more respect than he's getting. Not just from opposition fans, but also from Evertonians as well. Not for yesterday's game, but in general, and I want to go into talking about that in a moment. But let's get back into the live comments for the moment. Eugene says Tosin is linked with a move to Russia. Yeah, he's been linked with a move to CSK Moscow today. Be interesting to see how that one turns out. Cal says, great win yesterday. That's the mentality. No matter what competition we perform at our best. Exactly. Carlo come out on Friday and he said, look, this is a historical competition. It's one that we want to be in. It's one that we want to win. It's one that we were going to take seriously. We're going to put out a strong team. And that's exactly what we did. We showed Sheffield Wednesday the respect and we went out and we beat them comfortably. And again, you really can't ask for more, can you? Eugene says, small world. Everton Bot says, hi everyone. Hi mate, what's happening? Eugene says, Zeko linked with Everton move as well. I've seen that today. Which Phil says, hey Botchers. Eugene says he was your man of the match last night. His was Hammers. Hammers for me. Absolutely. We're going to talk about him in a second. Phil says, Palace reporting interest in Zaha. Oh, that Everton's interest in Zaha. Wormy says, hi everybody. Hey Wormy, what's happening, mate? Phil's talking about Robertson should be investigated for screaming and yelling at Mason Greenwood. He's just a nuisance, him, and he's like that. He's just like that thing, innit, that you're like, oh, just get away. What are you doing here? Just move. He's an idiot. Wormy says, have Chelsea sacked Lampard? Yes, they have. He has gone. He also says maybe we could get Pulisic now. Imagine it, mate. I'd love him at Everton. I think he's brilliant. Everton Luke says, is there no news on Luca Dean or Brands yet? Cam, about contacts? Not yet, mate. Not yet. But, you know, no news sometimes can be good news. You know, silence sometimes can mean that there's no stress and everything's all sorted and it's in the works and, you know, we don't really need to worry about it. Just because we haven't heard anything from the press or the media doesn't necessarily mean that there's any worries or there's any problems with it. It can also mean that everything's under control and it'll be announced when it's announced. And Chris says, hi pal, hope you're well. What's happening, mate? Hope you're well as well. He also says, who have you got in the next round? We'll see tonight. Wickham play Tottenham Hotspur in their fourth round fixture tonight, so we play the winner of that game, so we'll have to wait and see. And Eugene says, Everton record breaker, Small explains sacrifice after historic debut. Yeah, we're going to talk about Thierry Small and Tyler Onyongo as well in a little bit. Don't forget, like I said, if you're watching live, get in the live comments. Really do appreciate all of the support. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you could share the video and the stream, it would mean a great deal to me. James Rodriguez. Where do we start with this absolutely beautiful magician? The South American toffees are in full swing and James Rodriguez is just the epitome of everything that's boss in the world. He's just unbelievable, isn't he? He's got a belted haircut. He's got a wonderful left foot. He's got an unbelievable right foot. He's just fantastic. I'll go as far as to say this, and I've seen Mikel Arteta, Steven Pienaar. I don't think I've ever seen a player with as much quality as James Rodriguez in an Everton shirt. He's just absolutely exceptional. He is was head and shoulders better than any player on that pitch yesterday, and head and shoulders better than most footballers on this planet. Certainly most creative footballers on this planet. He's just excellent. He can do things with a football that I didn't even think was possible. He can find passes that the normal human brain won't comprehend until it's done. And you're sort of sitting there going, well, how was that chance being created then? And then you watch the replay and James has played the ball diagonally without looking about 45 yards and it's landed on someone's foot and we've scored from it, or the chances being created from it. I think he created 8 chances yesterday in the game. 2 assists, like I said, could have had 4, 5, 6 assists. Richarlison's onside on a couple of occasions. He'd have had a couple more. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has one chip, which is defended off the line. That would have been another one for him. Abdoulaye Doucouré fires one wide, which again on another day could have comfortably gone into the back of the net. That would have been another one. He's just absolutely exceptional. And James Rodriguez was brought in the summer to add something to Everton that we haven't had for a long time, and he's absolutely added that. He's added that quality, he's added that class, and he's added that creativity in the midfield that we were so desperately lacking. And I remember sitting here in the summer, and it was before, I think, the last 9 games of the season, when we were in that lockdown period and we hadn't played for a long time, and there was a lot of transfer videos being made because there was a lot of rumours. And I remember sitting here talking about Everton's necessity, and I'm not bigging myself up here, by the way, or saying, we signed James because of me, or I guessed it. No, I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is, I remember sitting here talking about Everton's necessity to bring in a creator. Somebody who can find a pass from nowhere, somebody who can put a ball into the box that nobody else sees and create a goal from it. Somebody who can change a game, a magician. We talked about that a lot during that lockdown period, and then Everton come back and played the remaining 9 games of the season, and it become pretty much apparent that we also needed a decent two decent midfielders, one that could get about the pitch and one that ultimately could throw a tackle in, and the creative sort of player went under the radar a little bit because we knew that there was more important positions to fill, there was more important positions that we needed to address. But we brought James Rodriguez in the summer, and it was such a big move, not only financially coming in for a free, practically we signed James Rodriguez on a free. Marcel Brands deserves a lifetime contract for that alone. Not only that, not only in terms of outreach of social media followers, this, that and the other, but we'd signed a player who was going to bring that quality, who was going to bring that ability on the ball, who was going to bring that class, that vision that nobody else at Everton had, that vision that not many other players in the Premier League had. You could probably talk about Bruno Fernandes, you could probably talk about Kevin De Bruyne. Who else is in that conversation of a player that has got that vision and that ability that James Rodriguez has got from midfield? I don't think there is anybody else, to be perfectly honest with you. And it was so important that we signed somebody like James, and yesterday just epitomised what he can do. And I don't want to weigh in on this, oh yeah, but he was playing against championship opposition, playing against a team struggling in the championship. He does it week out in the Premier League. So if you look at that yesterday and you think, oh, he only done that against Sheffield Wednesday and they're only in the championship, go and watch him 3 weeks ago. Go and watch him against Tottenham in the opening game of the season. Go and watch him against Brighton the game after that. Against Palace the game after that. West Brom. He does this in the Premier League week in, week out. He's constantly creating opportunities. He's constantly bringing players into the game. He's putting chances on plates for players to score. He put one on a plate for Iwobi last week against Wolves. And Iwobi had just stated the goalkeeper against Burnley. He played one into Sigurdsson, light as day, and Sigurdsson misses it. He's constantly doing this. He's such a good footballer. He's absolutely world class, and that was shown yesterday on every single scale. It was shown yesterday. Again, he was everywhere from start to finish. He was controlling the game. Every positive play that we made, he was involved in. Every goal that we scored, he was involved in some form or another. Obviously, the 2 assists for the second 2. Brilliant balls into the box. Absolute wizard taking corners. Just a wizard in general. But I want to talk about his movement because he's had a lot of stick since he's come to Everton from opposition fans. Not necessarily from Evertonians, because we watch him week in, week out, and we don't just go on Twitter and type in his name and see what these football Twitter accounts who haven't got a clue about football are saying, and then go on radio, television, national radio or national television and talk absolute wham like some people do. We actually watch him week in, week out, and we know what he does, and we know the the ability that he has. Mitchell says, no fella sitting in his mum's bedroom behind bunk beds could ever tell me about Everton. That's a double bunk bed, that, mate. And I've got a couch underneath it, which is boss for watching telly, so respect the setup. We will get back into the live comments in a moment, by the way. He has had a lot of stick and a lot of criticism from opposition fans for his lack of movement, or, yeah, he's great, but he doesn't defend, or he doesn't throw a tackle in, or he doesn't get involved when the going's not good for him and all of that. Absolute wham. James Rodriguez, I would love to see a heat map of James Rodriguez yesterday, because he literally covered every blade of grass. And again, like I said, he hasn't been known for that, and ultimately, I don't care if James Rodriguez covers every blade of grass on the pitch. I don't care if he defends, because he's not been brought in to do that. He's been brought in to bring that creativity. He's been brought in to get involved. He's been brought in to create chances. He's been brought in to score goals. He's been brought in to get assists. He's ultimately been brought in to bring that creativity that wins us games of football, and that's exactly what he's done. And when there's that argument of, yeah, but he doesn't get back and defend, or, yeah, but he doesn't throw tackles in, I'll always have the same responses. He's not being brought in to defend. He's not being brought in to throw challenges in on the halfway line. He's not being brought in to fill in at right back. He's been brought in to create. And if we're coming under pressure, and if we're coming up against sides who are going to constantly bombard us with pressure, then, yeah, maybe he doesn't have his greatest of game, but he's that type of player. He's that quality of player that in one moment, James can have a game where you're thinking he hasn't really done much today, but in the 89th minute he can produce a pass or a cross or a through ball that kills the entire opposition off and wins us that game of football. And that is the positive, or one of the big positives about having a player like James Rodriguez. We saw it a couple of weeks ago against Rotherham in the third round of the Cup. Again, we get to extra time. one really, really good ball through to Abdoulaye Doucouré slots and we win the game. James Rodriguez, again, single-handedly taking players out of games with one fantastic through ball. He done it on a number of occasions yesterday. He done it on about 45 occasions. And like I said, he could have had 5, 6, 7 assists if, players would have been onside or players would have been a little bit more clued up to it. Sometimes even his teammates aren't aware of what he's going to do. But again, credit to the likes of Richarlison and Dom and Luca Dean. They've been on that same wavelength as James. But like I said, he has had criticism of, oh yeah, but he doesn't get about the pitch, he doesn't defend, he doesn't move around. James Rodriguez covered every single blade of grass yesterday. Like I said, I'd love to see a heat map of James Rodriguez because he was everywhere. He filled in at right back at one point. He made a fantastic header on the line at one point to keep the ball in a dangerous area, towards our defensive line. He was obviously all across the front line. He was through the midfield. He was cutting across the defence. He was doing the hard work. He was absolutely everywhere yesterday. Everywhere from start to finish. He wasn't only unbelievable because of the balls that he was playing, he was unbelievable because he just completely controlled the game from everywhere. And again, I think we need to start eradicating this myth of, but he doesn't move or he doesn't get involved or he only stays in the one position. He's everywhere. James Rodriguez doesn't play in a specific position for Everton Football Club. He might start at right wing, but I can guarantee you 5 minutes into the game, he's either playing centre mid, or he's playing CDM, or he's playing up top, or he's playing on the left wing. He is absolutely everywhere, and he deserves a lot more respect for that. Just because he doesn't run aimlessly with his head down with pace, doesn't mean that he doesn't run. Doesn't mean that he doesn't get about the pitch. James Rodriguez is an elegant, intelligent mover with the ball. He doesn't run with a lot of pace. He doesn't get his head down and just go, right, I'm going to go. And nothing against players that do that. Nothing against players that run with pace or get their head down and just, go. Because that works. That's been proven to work and it works. James isn't that type of player. So you mightn't notice him moving in a game of football. You mightn't notice him, spraying about the pitch because he won't pick the ball up at left wing and sprint at 100 mile an hour to the right wing because he won't do that. But if you actually watch him closely and you watch the games, you'll realise that he's a very elegant and very intelligent footballer and he moves an awful lot around the pitch. An awful lot more than he gets credit for, and he did that yesterday and he was absolutely unbelievable yesterday. He was, like I said, head and shoulders better than anybody on the pitch, not just for his ability and his quality and his his creativeness, but also for that movement, getting involved, wanting the ball, just being that focal point, that player who picks the ball up and moves with it and plays it off. And yet he mightn't, like I said, get his head down and beat 7 players with loads of pace and loads of skill, but he plays 1-2 passes and everybody else is on the same wavelength as him. And like I said, there's over-the-top balls, his chips, he reboned it on one occasion. He's just magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. I think he only lost the ball on 2 or 3 occasions, and that was him trying to take shots from outside of the box to try and, I think, nick a goal, which would have completely topped his game off. Pretty much every pass he made was pitch perfect to whoever it was meant to. And again, that ultimately is what having a player like James Rodriguez brings to your team. Quality, excellence, creativeness, magic, and that work rate that, again, like I said, I really don't think he gets enough credit for. He doesn't get enough credit for it. Too often, these people who haven't got a clue about football are on Twitter going, yeah, he's good creating and that, but what does he do? He doesn't really move about. He doesn't really get about the pitch. I'd love to see a heat map of James yesterday because as far as I'm concerned, and I was watching the entire 90 minutes, he was everywhere. He was absolutely everywhere, calling for the ball, passing them and moving, playing some brilliant combinations, be it with Sigurdsson, be it with Gomez, be it with Richarlison, be it with Dom. Brilliant combinations throughout the entire 90 minutes, and he was the focal point of everything that happened for Everton yesterday, and he deserves so much credit for that. He's an excellent footballer. He's absolutely world class. He's the best technical footballer I've ever seen in an Everton shirt. And I just can't wait to see him again, to be perfectly honest with you, on Wednesday, because he's brilliant. It wasn't just James. Dom was fantastic, Richarlison was fantastic, Godfrey, Olsen, Coleman, Doucouré, everybody was brilliant. But if one thing was abundantly clear yesterday, it was how good James Rodriguez is. And I'm not hearing this, he was playing against Championship, this, that and the other. Who gives a shit? You can only beat what's in front of you. You can only perform against what's in front of you. And if you seriously think James Rodriguez doesn't do that every week in the Premier League, you don't watch footy. Because that performance, he does every single week. Just sometimes players aren't on the end of those crosses, or players aren't on the end of those balls, or we haven't got our front three in full swing, we haven't got our full strength squad, we haven't had a full strength team since the first 3 weeks of the season. And again, with a full strength starting 11, with a full strength front three, if you like, and that's no disrespect to Iwobi probably will come in against Leicester, and I've not got a big issue with that because he's been very good recently as well. That's what James can bring. He was absolutely excellent yesterday, and it was a fantastic performance by him. Let's get into the live comments then before we move on. Once again, if you're not enjoying, big thanks for watching. Please do hit that like button if you have enjoyed. Chris says, I'm good, thanks for asking. Alfonso says, Mina has improved so much and has been very consistent with Keane. They make a great couple at the back. Phil says, Cam is getting a hammers. Don't know if I can say that extra word, but mate, he's just unbelievable. Watching him play it's a privilege. It really is. And Phil puts in a great comment. Phil says the real shame is that none of us can see him properly and give him a massive Goodison Park welcome. The man's a supreme artist. Exactly, mate. And it will be an absolute honour and a privilege to watch James Rodriguez live in the flesh at Goodison Park. And I was thinking this actually just before I started streaming. He's that good now with no crowd and no fans behind him and nobody singing songs and nobody getting behind the team. Imagine how good he's going to be with 40,000 Evertonians pushing the team on and pushing him on. He's going to be unbelievable, mate. He's already unbelievable. He's going to be even better. Fabio says, actually, there's someone better than James on that perspective. His name is Juan Fernando Quintero. I've never really seen much of him, to be perfectly honest with you, mate. So I can't really judge off that, but maybe, fair enough. I'm sure you know an awful lot more about him than I do. Alfonso says, I agree about James. His teammates have to catch up with him. There was a pass to DCL over the defenders where DCL half ran that and got to the ball too late. No blame, as timing will happen. Exactly. And the more that these players play with James, the more they'll understand, right, okay, he's going to play a ball there that nobody else has seen, but he's going to play it. And they'll get onto that. And I've been so impressed with Richarlison. I've been so impressed with Dom. I've been so impressed with Luca Dean, because even in the first couple of games of the season, after James had only been in Everton for a week, less than a week when we played Tottenham, you've seen the likes of Dean and Dean and Richarlison and Dom, you know, playing off him and playing as if they'd been playing next to him for 2 or 3 years, understanding his passes, understanding where he's going to be. And it shows that those type of players have been crying out for someone like James Rodriguez since they've been at Everton Football Club, crying out for that creativity, for that player who takes everybody out the game with a through ball. And like I said, I've been equally as impressed, well, not equally, because, you know, but I've been very impressed with those types of players. Every player in an Everton shirt that has combined with James, I've been very impressed with. Phil says, spot on, Cam. Everton FL says, the ball from James for Richie's offside goal was orgasmic. It was unbelievable, mate. Eugene says, happy birthday, Franny. Johnny says, crown James king. The team played excellent yesterday. Hope it continues. Exactly, mate. Everton now says, hello, Cam. Hi, mate. How you doing? William says, I didn't realise your bedroom affects your opinions on footy. Why do you manage Mitch Soz? Well, listen, mate, I'm not trying to tell anybody anything about football. I'm just coming on and doing my personal review. That's why I like to do these live streams, so everybody else can have their opinion. Somebody might come in and say, you're talking shite. Dominic Calvert-Lewin was the best player yesterday, and that's fair enough. That's what it's about. It's about opinions, and that's why I like doing them live, so we can get across different opinions. Phil says, James or Alex Young. I never seen Alex Young live, mate. Alex Young is an absolute Everton legend, of course he is, but I never watched them live, so I feel like it'd be unfair of me to judge Alex Young. I've seen the videos and the clips, and he's unbelievable. But I suppose that's a question for those Evertonians who have watched Alex Young live, and they'll probably say Alex Young because he won trophies with Everton and he was very successful, and again, and that's fair enough. That's an opinion. Alfonso says, James was so good yesterday that at one point he made a pass by hitting the opponent and the ball landing back to... I seen that, mate. I seen that. Again, just unbelievable, innit? It's like when you're playing five-a-side and you've got the walls either side of you, and you know there's a lad standing in front of you, and you think, right, okay, I can't beat him for pace. If I try and go through him, he's going to put me on my arse. I don't really want to go inside, so I'm just going to volley it against this wall here. It'll bounce back off the wall, it'll end up there, and I'll run onto that, and he won't have a clue. That was what that was like yesterday. Everton now says, completely agree. If it was the likes of Thiago, pundits would go mad. If it was anyone else, pundits would go mad, mate. Ewan says, where do you think Everton will finish this season? Top 6, definitely. Hopefully top 4. Everton Bruce's A-Cam. Everton haven't lost the game when Hammers, Dom and Richie have started all at once. I didn't know that, mate. Didn't know that. Touch wood. Let's not jinx that one. Johnny says, I've seen Hammers play live before. It's like watching a magic unicorn. He will bring great things to Everton. What an analogy, mate. I can't wait to see him myself. Dave says, my opinion is Cobhite and Cobhite. Obviously. Fair enough, Dave. And Phil says, I was going to say it's impossible to decide. There you go. There you go. And that shows how good James Rodriguez is if it's, you know, he's being compared to Alex Young like that. He is, he's exceptional. But anyway, like I said, we come out in the second half again, very, very solid. Get the next 2 goals. We'll talk about them as a pair because they happen pretty much directly after each other. Get a corner. James Rodriguez again floats an unbelievable ball in. Richarlison gets on his end at the end of it. 2-0. Like I said before, so important for Richarlison. That absolutely fantastic finish and vitally important for his confidence going into the next couple of Premier League games. And then literally a couple of minutes later, another ball comes in by James, pretty much carbon copy. And this time, big Yerry Mina's on the end of it with a big, strong header. Fantastic header for Yerry Mina. And again, topping off what was another really solid defensive performance by Yerry. Like I said, the defence didn't have an awful lot to do. Sheffield Wednesday had a couple of opportunities, granted, but they didn't have an awful lot to do throughout the game. But what they had to do, they done really well. And I think Yerry Mina probably felt a little bit isolated. He probably thought, you know what? I need to get a bit more in this game here. I've not had much to do defensively. I've not had many last-ditch tackles to make here, so I'm going to go up the other end and I'm going to score. And that's exactly what he done. And it was a great header, to be fair to Yerry. Really well taken. Fantastic finish to win the game for Everton. And ultimately, that's all that we could ask for. We saw it out then. You saw the likes of Ben Godfrey, James, Richarlison, Dom come off. And we saw the introduction of 2 very special young players. Young Thierry Small coming on to make his Everton debut at just 16 years old, making history to become Everton's youngest ever player, beating Jose Baxter by 15 days. There's been a little bit of news today coming from the Liverpool Echoes to say that Everton are in negotiations with Thierry Small for a new contract. However, he cannot sign that contract, professional contract, until he is 17 years old in August, because footballers aren't allowed to sign professional contracts until they're at least 17. He's playing on a youth contract at the moment, which is a bit mad, because I thought, well, how can you play in a professional game without a professional contract? But apparently you can play in a professional game with a youth contract. And hopefully Thierry Small does sign on the dotted line, because he's got a lot of potential and he's got a massive future ahead of him. Big congratulations to Thierry Small. Thought he held his own when he come on as well. Couple of nice bits of play, couple of nice tackles as well. Got involved, showed his energy. And I think Carlo Ancelotti deserves a lot of credit as well. I'll talk about Tyler Onyango in a moment, but I think Carlo Ancelotti deserves a lot of credit, because ultimately Carlo has come into criticism since he's been in Everton as to, well, he doesn't trust the young players, he doesn't bring them on, he doesn't give them chances. And okay, you might say bringing on a couple of young players with 5 minutes to go doesn't change that, and maybe some people still are a little bit unhappy with the lack of opportunities for a Gordon or an Arsene Nkunku. Again, Anthony Gordon come on yesterday, didn't really do much. Probably do need more from an Anthony Gordon, to be perfectly honest with you. Again, I don't think he's massively helping his case, but I don't think that's particularly his fault. It was a very difficult task for him to come on at a point in the game where it was done and dusted, and we weren't really fighting for another goal and change it. But fair play to Carlo Ancelotti for giving that opportunities to Tyler Onyango and Thierry Small, for giving them Thierry Small that chance to come on and become Everton's youngest ever player. Carlo Ancelotti knew that if it wasn't going to be that game, then he wouldn't have made it, because he wouldn't have been in the matchday squad on Wednesday. He probably won't be in it at the weekend, and then by the time another fixture come up, whether it be the FA Cup 5th round, those 15 days will have passed, and Jose Baxter will have kept that record. So fair play to Carlo Ancelotti for allowing Thierry Small that opportunity to come on and make history. And he, you know, again, like I said, they both come on at a time in the game where they were never going to be asked to do much, but he done what he needed to do well. He was solid, didn't make any mistakes, had a couple of touches of the ball and he done well with it, threw a challenge in, put some pressure on the keeper as well, and a massive congratulations to Thierry Small. And the reason he was on the bench yesterday, and the reason Carlo Ancelotti brought him on, I honestly don't think it was just for sentiment and just to say, yeah, go on, you go and break a record. It was because he had that trust repaid for the constant performances and the constant quality performances that he showed in the under-23s and the under-18s this season. Same with Tyler Onyongo. It was only 12 months ago he was playing in the under-18s. He was brought up fast into the 23s because of how good he was, and now he's being brought up into first-team football because of how good he is. And same with Thierry Small. He's a very, very, very good young talent. He deserves that record, and hopefully he can sign that contract. And again, we're setting up with three very, very good left backs. Luca Dean, who for me is the best in the country, probably top 3 best in the world, certainly top 3 best in Europe. Niles Nkunku, who looks absolutely exceptional, but still a lot to learn, but looks exceptional. And Thierry Smalls, who at 16 years old has come on to make his Everton debut and become Everton's youngest ever player. Tyler Onyongo as well. I think what I don't want is the record for Thierry Small and the fact that he's Everton's youngest ever player, etc., to cloud Tyler Onyongo yesterday, because he also come on for his Everton debut, still 17, not like he's 35 and he's come on and it doesn't mean, still 17 years old. If it wasn't for Thierry Small breaking the record, we'd all be sitting here focusing on Tyler Onyongo as well, and I think it's really important that we do that. Yet it's important that we focus on Thierry Small and we talk about how brilliant that performance was and how great that was to see, but I think it's also really important we look at Tyler Onyongo, because ultimately he come on and he looked so menacing in the centre of midfield, didn't he? He just looked like he was meant to be there. He's so tall. I think he might even be taller than Abdoulaye Doucouré. He's certainly up there with Abdoulaye Doucouré. Threw in a really, really good challenge as well. Give a foul away, which, no issues with that. And he looked like he wanted the ball. I said it in the instant match reaction yesterday. He was calling for the ball. He was saying, yeah, I'll have it, give it and go. I'll move it. I want the ball. I want to be able to bring it out. I want to be able to move it forward. And that's the type of confidence that you want to see from young players who are coming in and being given their first team opportunity and their debut in the first team. You don't want to see them shying away from the ball. You don't want to see them thinking, right, okay, if I just stay away from it here, I can't do anything wrong. You want to see him going for it. You want to see him throwing tackles in. You want to see him getting involved. And I think Tyler Onyongo was really good in the 5 minutes that he come on, and really, really impressed. And again, very similar to Thierry Small. Both got massive, massive Everton futures ahead of them. And a big, big congratulations to both of those players for coming on and making Everton history. Really, really deserved. Obviously, they'll go back into the under-23s now, but the confidence that will have given both of those players, they'll have both been sat at home yesterday thinking, oh my God, I've just come on there for Everton Football Club. I've played next to James Rodriguez, I've played next to Abdoulaye Doucouré, I've played next to Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I've been in and around that dressing room. It'll give them so much confidence for the rest of the season, and you'll see that in the coming under-23s games when they're playing. And I think it was great for Carlo Ancelotti to do that. And fair play to the two lads as well. They stepped in and they didn't look out of place whatsoever. Albeit, in the last 5 minutes in a game that was already well and truly won, they didn't look out of place whatsoever. And they've got a massive, massive future at Everton Football Club. Everton now says that James Rabona, it was unreal, mate. Alfonso says, Ancelotti bringing the youngsters at the right situation. This man knows how to manage. You're spot on. Everton Blue says, hey Cam, would you rather finish 8th and win the FA Cup or finish 2nd and win no trophies? 8th and win the FA Cup, to be honest with you. I would, and you might think that's baffling, but again, I've said it before, we're a club desperately in need of silverware, and 8th in the league is showing progress as well, and we get European football without 8th in the league. Yet we don't get Champions League, but we win a trophy, which we've failed to do for 30 years, so no doubt in my mind it's 8th and win a trophy. Phil says, just remember Toffee Webb's comment on Alex Young. It's like saying Shakespeare could write a bit, same can be said about James. Yeah, exactly, mate, exactly. And he also says, love these youngsters, absolute class. They have a great future at Everton. They certainly do, and it was a fantastic way to end a very, very good night of football, is to see two young lads coming on, getting their debuts and really impressing as well. And that was it. Another really good win for Carlo Ancelotti's Everton. A good, comfortable, professional performance sees Everton cruise into the 5th round of the FA Cup. How many times have we been able to sit here over the years and say Everton have cruised into the next round of a cup competition? We usually make it hard for ourselves, we usually make it difficult, we usually make it strenuous, but not last night. It was comfortable, it was professional, it was dominant, and it was brilliant to watch, absolutely brilliant to watch. And hopefully we can take that momentum and that confidence into Wednesday now in a big Premier League game against Leicester City, which is going to be difficult. Even with their injuries, with the likes of Vardy being out, it's going to be very, very difficult. So, again, like I said, we have to be able to take that momentum. it was going to be interesting to see how we responded after the break, and I think it was a brilliant game to come into, get the confidence back up, get the momentum back up, and now we can go into Leicester on Wednesday. Fabio says, I heard something about Luis Muriel from Atlanta being watched by Everton. Is that true? I've heard a couple of rumours, a couple of people have mentioned it to me, but I've not seen the actual rumour from a publication or whatever, but I've heard a couple of people talking about it, so I don't know. Whether it's Tui's being watched, I don't know. But like I said, I haven't seen it firsthand just through what people have been saying. Anyway, that is going to do it for today's live stream. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit that like button. Once again, a massive, massive thank you to everybody for getting involved in the live comments. I really, really do appreciate it. It means a massive, massive amount to me. If you're watching as a YouTube video, don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and we will be getting involved with as many of those as possible. Please do leave the live stream a like. Or the video a like if you're watching the video if you have enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new as well. We will be back tomorrow with the game preview ahead of Everton's Premier League fixture against Leicester City on Wednesday. A massive, massive fixture for Everton. Big chance for us again to come up against the side who are fighting at that top end of the league. If we can go out and we can beat them as comfortably as we did a couple of weeks ago at their ground, then again, I think we really, really start to sit up and go, this Everton team can achieve something this season. But it's going to be very difficult, and we have to be, at our best. And usually we're sitting here after a cup game saying, Everton need to improve. You look at the Rotherham game, we were all sitting here saying, we need to massively improve if we're going to get something against Wolves. We did massively improve. We got something against Wolves. Can't really say that now. Do we need to improve a little bit? Maybe, because obviously the golfing class between Sheffield Wednesday and Leicester is quite big, and that's no disrespect to Chef Wed, but again, no complaints about that performance whatsoever yesterday. It was fantastic, it was professional, and it was dominant, and hopefully we see a very similar performance and result on Wednesday. Like I said, live game preview will be out tomorrow. Don't forget to look out for that one. We give my predicted starting 11 and all that good stuff. Massive thanks for watching. Phil says cheers. Phil. Fabio says thanks. Thank you, Fabio. Eugene says see you about the toffees and see you tomorrow evening. Cheers, Eugene. Massive thanks to everybody for getting involved as always. Massive thanks to everybody for watching. If you're watching as a YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Please do leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.